Okay, so it's pregame time here before the Retail Uncorked event in Orlando. I'm here with my friend David Spahn with Brixmor. David, welcome.
Thank you, James.
So how would you describe the Retail Uncorked event?
Retail Uncorked is designed as a casual professional networking event for the retail real estate industry, where there is a panel of retail professionals really designed to convey information but also have fun at the same time. It's a great way to network within your industry, but it's a great event and they've really had tremendous success with it so far.
Okay, so today I'm going to interview Holly Cohen with Holly Cohen Retail Advisory Services. We're going to talk to Alyssa Bloomsma from Joe and the Juice. We've got Whitney Livingston, who's the new COO of ICSC. And then we're going to talk to the organizers themselves, Evie Gross and Ashley Casey. You're listening to Where We Buy. It's the show where we talk with retail experts and we visit the places where we buy. My name is James Cook. I research retail and real estate for JLL. So, David, what should I expect today from Retail Uncorked?
You should expect some good questions, always looking for that insider information that they can get out of the panelists.
Yeah.
The folks they bring in are super smart, knowledgeable, know everything about their businesses, and are really happy to be here to share that information.
We are here in The Point. Is that
Point.
It's The Point Orlando?
The Point Orlando.
Okay, and your title is head of...
It's Vice President of Research and Marketing.
Okay, for Brixmor.
For Brixmor Property
which
Group.
Owns The Point.
Owns The Point.
How would you describe this as an entertainment shopping center?
Yeah, exactly. So it transitioned over time. I knew it years ago when it was much more of a retail center. But through Brixmor, we've spent a large amount of capital to redevelop the center and reorient it towards a much more entertainment-friendly focus, attracting both locals as well as, of course, the conventioneers.
We're right here on International Drive, which is probably the highest rents in Orlando for retail rents, probably.
I would say like up there, definitely.
Yeah, right across from the Orlando Convention Center.
Near Icon Park as
right,
well.
A lot of families walking around.
Yeah, they have really noticed as we've increased the amenities, as the leasing has come up with the new openings recently. Dick's Last Resort just opened. We have noticed a lot of people just coming and hanging out, especially in the open spaces over by the Hampton Social Club and Ocean Club and so forth. That there's been a lot more interest, especially, and even at night, what you notice is there's more locals as well. It's not just tourists.
So it's a great mix. A lot of locals like to come and shop and hang out and have fun in this area. But you make your money on the tourists because the tourist wants to spend.
The tourists have expense accounts.
Right. Well, David, normally I don't have somebody back on the show so quickly. You were just on the show, like a couple months ago, maybe?
I always appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and enjoy Retail Uncorked Orlando edition.
Thank you.
So my first Retail Uncorked guest
I'm the first?
is at a Retail Uncorked guest is Holly Cohen with Holly Cohen Retail Advisory Services. Welcome.
Thank you so much, James. Great to see you and connect and be at another Retail Uncorked event.
This is my first one.
It is?
I know.
I was at the first one
I'm
in
sure.
Evie's condo building in her community room in Miami like 3 years ago. So
well, they've really gone very far
They have.
since then and gotten, really big. Because this is now like an event. It started out as like, oh, if you know kind of thing. But now it's like everybody wants
it's
to
an
come.
event, yeah.
People say, oh, well, I had to get that earlier flight
Yes,
to the
that
ICSC.
was me today.
Yeah.
Yes, as I
So-
flew in from Connecticut.
So I can make it here. So first question, tell us what you do, Holly. Like, how do you describe what you do?
I have spent my career in retail.
Yeah.
Starting out in operations way back when at the Gap, and that was long before I knew that real estate was a career, right? Because as we all know, long ago, you either were born into it or you fell into it. I'm
Right.
not fall into it, literally like fall into it at the Gap. And I was the only female that went into real estate at the Gap. I was the first female leasing executive, yikes, at a time when things were very different.
Oh my
But an
gosh.
incredible experience. And Gap at the time was doing incredibly well, and everybody that I worked with, there was probably a team of 20 to 25 people that we are all still friends today. So
Oh,
anybody
wow.
who's at some of the major retailers, RH, Polo, whatever, is a friend to call on. So I've continued on that. I ran global real estate for J. Crew. I worked with Mickey Drexler. Then I went to Claire's for a short bit, and then went to Nike to head up their global real estate. And while Nike was great, Portland and I were not long for each other, if you know what I mean. I gave it my best shot, but when I'm a girl from New York that moved to Miami to go to Portland, kind of kept my...
I was going to say, they have great restaurants
Yeah,
in
they have
Portland.
fabulous restaurants, but the weather, if you like palm trees, sleeveless, sockless weather, yeah, that's not it. So when I came back, I opened up my own advisory company. And basically, I do the same thing now. I always did in-house. I just do it at a different pace and with different clients, whether it's for brands or it's for landlords or whatever the situation is.
So you have multiple clients, and you're kind of doing that stuff that you learned at the Gap and at Nike and translating it to them. Like, what's a kind of project you've worked on recently? Is there anything you can...
My current client is called Turbine Associates. They're out of Chicago, and they are redeveloping the lovely what was the Sarasota Square Mall, an old Westfield mall in Sarasota, Florida, that's been completely demolished, and I'm helping them to curate the merchandising plan and get them introduced to the right brands to create a very upscale outdoor lifestyle center along the water.
Oh, wow. That's a really fascinating project.
It is. It's
so
great.
That's, your goal here. I don't know if I explained it, but this Uncorked event is right before ICSC Florida. So that's why everybody's in town. And that's going to be your goal, is to work on that project.
Correct.
Meet with potential tenants,
Yes.
that type of thing.
And also to expose my client, Torburn, to this company. Really, the first time they got introduced to an ICSC event was in May. I had just joined, and we, pulled it together to get some appointments. So we're on a really good roll. And if I can make a little plug, that's a big project, 98 acres or 68, depending if you're including the residential. But I think for Torburn, and I can take zero credit for this, it's the fine landlord and Metro Commercial who had a bunch of supermarkets to do, and they were hoping to get maybe a Publix or whatever, but they landed both a Whole Foods and a Trader Joe's.
Oh,
and
wow.
Had to pick from one. They
wow.
chose the Whole Foods, and that really changed the nature of the leasing of the project, making it more elevated. And the good
Gotcha.
news is Trader Joe's, it's still coming to the market right next door to our project.
Oh,
so
my gosh. You couldn't have asked for that to work out better.
Exactly. So
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so I have some questions I'm asking everybody. What retail trend deserves to be uncorked, and which one should be corked? So what trend do we stop doing, and what do we start?
I've been very fortunate in my career to work for brands that, at least at the time that I was there, not that I had anything to do with it, but were really on the upscale,
Nice.
turning it around,
Yeah.
IPOs or expanding. And really terrific. So you've got to meet the consumer where the consumer wants to be met. And whether that's online, in-store, my biggest criticism of brands right now is they don't have any inventory in the stores. So that's okay if you're going to be acting like a showroom, but I can't tell you how many brands I've walked into, a Nordstrom, a Sephora over the years, and I know exactly what I want, and it's never in stock. So, we're kind of driving people to online. And of course, with unknowns of what will be with the tariffs, who knows where that's going to be. But
Okay, if Holly Cohen Retail Advisory Services were a drink, wine, a cocktail, maybe something unalcoholic too, what would it be?
I'd have to be an Aperol Spritz.
Ah, classic.
I'd like to think the Holly Cohen brand, or just me, a little colorful, little flair, a little European, little sparkly. So, yeah, when I think of Aperol Spritzes, it's a happy time.
What's the craziest thing that ever happened to you on a site visit or property tour?
Wellesley, Massachusetts, Gap Days, site tour, apparently a stolen car from Rhode Island.
Okay.
And police searching everywhere in Wellesley. And I'm on a site tour, and we go back to my broker's car, which has Rhode Island license plates and is the same car. And we have to talk our way out of not getting arrested on our site tour because they assume that this is the car and my broker is the thief.
Oh,
so that was
no.
challenging. But I've had many missed planes, missed crazy things. But yeah, getting arrested is not what you plan
But
on
you
a
didn't
site
get.
tour.
You
No,
avoided.
we're fine.
So you had somebody vouch for you.
Well, yeah, all hands on deck,
Oh my gosh. Okay, no, that's a good one. If your career had a theme song, what would it be?
It's a really oldie.
Okay.
Only people of a certain generation will
Okay.
know it. It's called Ain't No Stopping Us Now. And it's McFadden and Whitehead. And
Okay.
it's been my anthem song since I'm probably 17 years old, singing with my hairbrush in the mirror. Because it's all about, like, ain't no stopping us now. We got the groove. We got it. Like, it's been my rallying cry for many years. That and another really old disco one, Born to Be Alive by Patrick Hernandez.
So, Holly, when you are working with a client that's like a brand, like a retailer, are there like different ways that you look at them, or do you treat them all the same?
No, definitely
Okay.
not. You can't, right? My approach is analogous, I like to say, to a butterfly. And for those that may or may not get it, but if you think about the stages of growth for a brand, the larva I would translate to online brands ready to go into brick and mortar. The caterpillar phase, everybody seems to be able to figure out their first 4 or 5 stores because everybody knows everything about real estate, right? And Aunt Susie said, go here. But maybe they don't know how to scale, so that's when I'll help them.
Right.
Or maybe they're full-fledged legacy brands like some of the ones I've been fortunate to work for, and we need to right-size the portfolio or launch new concepts.
So in each of those stages has a completely different approach.
100%. Where are they? Who are they? How do we get, even in my current client working on the landlord side, the whole branding of a landlord to convey, they've done tremendous other work, but a project like this is a little unique for them. And so we have so much good news to tell, but we also want to get them known and build a brand name for Torburn as well.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for the opportunity, James.
Yes.
Always great to see you.
Thanks for joining me for my this is my
Your
first
couch conversations.
Couch Conversations.
That's
what we're going to call it.
Couch
Thank you for joining me for
Conversations.
Couch Conversations at Retail Uncorked.
Thanks
All right,
so much.
Thank you. I'm here with Alyssa Bloomsma with Joe and the Juice. Tell us about Joe and the Juice.
All right. So, my name is Alyssa Bloomsma. I work for Joe and the Juice. I'm a real estate manager. But Joe and the Juice, if you're not familiar, it's a Danish concept. So, started in Copenhagen in 2002. And it's really like a hybrid between a juice bar, coffee concept, cafe. But really what I think they do is like they sell an identity. When you go in there, it's really about the vibe inside. So it's really just a cool place. And so I just help them grow. I've been hired about 3 months ago to work on their growth in the Florida area. And so it's a lot of
So do you have does Joe and the Juice have aggressive plans for Florida?
We do,
or?
yeah. So
Tell me
that's,
about it.
So right now we have about 11 open stores in Florida. We have 7 in the pipeline, and really they're planning to double that in the next couple of years in Florida. Yeah, and we're really,
Oh, wow.
We've had such success in Miami that we want to expand up the coast. We want to go to Central Florida, and then I'm kind of trying, because I'm a West Coast girly, I'm like Tampa, Naples, Sarasota, like trying to explain to them that there's some really good markets over here that I think we'll find success in. Yeah, so we have 430 locations in 19 countries. There's only 69 in the U.S., but because we got General Atlantic put some deep money into us in 2023.
Okay.
So because they're U.S. based, the growth strategy right now is all eyes on the U.S. and we're really focused on that, of course. So
how do you distinguish yourself in the marketplace? It's a lot of social media advertising, right?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
marketing,
And
yeah.
I think they do such a great job with their social media. They use celebrities. Right now we have Novak Djokovic, I'm probably saying that wrong, the tennis guy. He's
Okay.
our health ambassador. They've used Paris Hilton, Alex Earl, Kevin Durant. So they use a lot of celebrities in their marketing. And again, it's just fun and trendy with their openings that they do. So that I think really sets them apart.
What is the menu? What's the hot items on the menu?
The tuna cotto is the most popular thing. Okay,
Tuna?
but they call it a
Is it a
tuna
sandwich?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's a tuna mousse, which I really hate that it's called that, a mousse. But it's it's a tuna salad essentially, but
Okay.
they say tuna mousse. But yeah, we sell the most in sandwiches actually, if you can believe it or not. I know that's 40% of our
I just
sales.
assumed with the name, people are getting coffee and then smoothies and stuff like
Right.
that. Yeah.
And juice is about 17% of the sales. Coffee a little less at 13%, but mainly sandwiches actually.
Okay, so my first question of the day for you is,
That wasn't even it.
we're just getting started.
All right.
So I'm going to ask you a two-parter. What's the signature drink at Joe and the Juice? And then if you yourself had a personal brand drink,
Right.
what would that be?
The one that's most popular at Joe and the Juice is like a berries one. It's the pink one, of course, because it's like quintessential Joe and the Juice.
Okay.
But cocktail, right? It's like alcohol.
Yeah, whatever.
I very much like a spicy margarita because I feel like it's got a little kick to it, you know?
Okay.
And I feel like I've also got a little kick to myself, you know? And, you know, a little spice. You got to keep it exciting.
I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
so the perfect drink metaphor for you as a person is a spicy margarita. Okay,
Yeah.
I love it. What's the craziest thing that ever happened to you during a site visit or property tour?
Well, I just had to tour my Danish boss around last week, like all over Florida, and that was very interesting because, you know, like they just think all of Florida is Miami. And so I feel like since this is recent, we had to go to this absolute hole in the wall, like right before getting on the turnpike to go to Orlando. And it was just this like weird Mexican spot. And like,
Oh, no.
he kind of got a little sick after.
Oh, no.
I know. And so.
Oh, you
like,
don't want to make the boss sick.
I know.
Somebody getting a little sick from where you choose, because it's on you.
Right.
You're the tour guide,
I know,
right?
I
Yeah.
know. But it was like, it's hard with the tours because you don't know what's
Yeah.
going to happen. We were already like 2.5 hours behind too. So I'm like,
In defense of the hole-in-the-wall Mexican place, those are usually the best places,
I know.
right?
And it had decent reviews too. But the food was ready in like 3 minutes, which was a little suspect.
We had this made already, and it's been sitting under a heat lamp. Here you go. One final question. If your career had a theme song, what would your theme song be for your career? Do you have a favorite song you like to crank up, like in the morning or at the end of the day when you're,
I don't know
tired?
why like Rosanna by Toto is coming to me right now.
I can't sing
But
it
I
off
don't
to
know
pay
how
for
that
it.
goes like with my career, you know?
No, that's just a good song.
It is, exactly. It's
Yeah.
an absolute classic.
I like to crank up Africa by
Okay, I
Toto.
mean,
That's
obviously,
another
of
good.
course. Yeah, no, totally. You can go your own way. Is that
Ooh.
like poetic or
Yeah.
something? Just because I've made a change recently by leaving First Watch, going to Joe and the Juice, and so I mean, I don't have that much experience in the industry, only about 4 years. So I'm just trying to, make my own way, if you will. Might be a little cliche, but.
All right, so you're drinking a spicy marg, you're cranking up Go Your Own Way, and that's awesome. I love it. Alyssa, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a lot of fun.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
We just had our panel here at Retail Uncorked.
Yes.
And I did some interviews before the panel, and now I'm doing some after. I've got Whitney Livingston, who's the COO of ICSC. So how would you describe, Whitney, what that entails, being the COO?
Well, as a COO, my job is really about strategy and corporate operations. I spent 20 years as an owner, operator, and developer in retail real estate and made the giant leap to a member organization. So now I'm focused on the strategy for how we continue to grow the International Council of Shopping Centers, ICSC, and stay relevant and continue to modernize.
What do you think the biggest opportunity is for modernization in our industry?
We have traditionally been an association that has thrived on networking and for deal makers. But there are a lot of other people in the ecosystem of retail real estate, and their companies know our brand. Our brand is synonymous with retail real estate. And so how do we continue to capture more of the market share of retail real estate professionals in addition to maintaining our relevance for deal making and networking, which is really our core?
I think that's so key because you don't want it to be, oh, this is just for brokers. This is just for deal makers.
Exactly.
Because there's so many people in this industry.
And one thing we are launching in May of 2026 is our first ever prop tech conference to start to broaden our reach, to continue to deliver a value proposition to our members, and hopefully technology that will optimize their business. And so that's step one, but that's the first step of many to come.
When is that going to be?
It's actually going to be at ICSC Las Vegas in May.
So it runs concurrently.
Exactly.
Okay, very cool. What retail trend should be uncorked and what trend should be corked?
I see what you're doing there at Retail Uncorked today. I would say actually my answers are one and the same. And we actually heard a lot about it on the panel today, which is we as an industry, including landlords and tenants, have to adapt. For probably the first time in our industry's history, we have to be willing to be much more innovative in how we operate. As you know, our industry was known for creating prototypes. The mall prototype, the open air shopping center prototype, every retailer had a prototype that they lived by. Today, it's really about the consumer and the market and delivering an experience that is relevant to that group of people that are going to make you ultimately successful. In fact, I think we even heard from a couple of retailers today say Orlando is different than Miami, is different than Tampa. And so what we're going to deliver in those markets are going to be different. And I think that is so exciting. It's probably one of the most exciting parts about retail real estate today is our ability to adapt. That's what we need to continue to uncork, and we need to cork the one-size-fits-all mentality.
Right. And that kind of goes along with what you were saying before about how ICSC itself needs to change. There's a danger, though, when you're splitting yourself in so many different directions that you dilute your efforts. So how do you make sure you don't do that?
You know, it's really, really important for someone like you as a researcher to be a part of making sure that we're making data-driven decisions. So understanding the market and the consumer is building block number one, and then understanding your core business and how you can tailor that to that group is also paramount.
Somebody sent me, a coworker sent me a link from a post on Instagram that had a bunch of statistics that were all unsighted, all about our industry, and they were all wrong. And it made my head explode. I feel like I spend too much of my time just setting the record straight on the state of our industry. Do you run into that too yourself?
100%. I mean, we spend a lot of time at ICSC and have invested heavily in the halo effect reports over the last several years to prove the value of physical retail. And, you know, unfortunately, it took a global pandemic for us to realize how important the experience of retail, and I say retail with a capital R, so it's not just apparel shopping or shopping, it's health, wellness, beauty, fitness, food and beverage, entertainment, apparel shopping, as well as experience. And people want to gather. They want to do that in a physical space. And so I think the narrative that e-commerce could ever replace physical retail is absolutely wrong, and frankly, that should be corked.
If ICSC were a beverage, what would ICSC be if it were a beverage?
I think ICSC would be an espresso martini.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
So, the martini has been around for generations, and I think the espresso martini is just an energized way that appeals to various audiences, but especially the younger demographic. ICSC, the foundation of the business is very strong, but we are focused on how we can continue to grow and adapt. And so the espresso martini it is.
Great answer. Okay. In your career, has anything unusual or funny or crazy ever happened when you were doing a site tour, you were visiting a property?
I mean, how much time do you have?
Give me one. Give me one of them.
In 20 years of site tours, I feel like I've seen everything, but I will share with you one of my very favorite site tour stories was in Dallas, Texas, and we had German investors in town and their translators, and so we're on a bus, and our bus driver got into not one, but 2 accidents in our 6-hour bus tour. And so imagine me trying to talk about redevelopment strategies and merchandising strategies while also saying, hold on, we've been in another fender bender. But it proves the resilience of the business. We got the deal done. It was one of the most stressful bus tours of my life.
The first one, you get over the stress of the first one, and then there's another fender bender.
I was worried the same police officers were going to come.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. That's a really good one. It's funny. A recurring theme, too, is foreign investors and foreign owners. And I actually ran into that recently. So I was presenting to a group and the ownership was German. And you just don't realize everything is different. And so I say, oh, yeah, well, they're in a power center. They're like, well, what's a power center?
Yes.
And you have to take this step back. And we forget, to your point, our industry is so unique that around the world, everything is different. If you could create a retail concept that doesn't exist yet, what would it be?
Well, I am a mom of 3 boys, 9, 11, and 14. He would have killed me if I said 13.
That's a big deal.
And they're all into sports. They're all into activities. I am a working mom, commuting, and so but I also think about feeding them healthy meals. I would love a QSR that offered family size, delicious meals that would not break the bank. That at 7:30 on a Tuesday night, I could pop in the oven to reheat, and we could all sit down at the table together. While my kids would prefer to have Chick-fil-A, that would help me sleep better at night.
I've experimented with a lot of different meal solutions, both QSR and also, other stuff like your Blue Aprons and that kind of stuff. And it's like they're either really expensive or they're boring after a while, or they're not
there's
healthy.
Still a lot of work.
Yeah, right.
Like some of the ones that come in the box, I'm like, okay, you've cut it all up, but
Yeah.
I still have to make it. Do you remember back to Boston Market family meals like 20 years ago?
I do.
I need that, but variety and something that will appeal to the whole family. And who knows, maybe even delivered to my door if I could have my full wish list.
Boston Market was great if you wanted to have a fast food Thanksgiving dinner.
Exactly.
That's what their
On a Tuesday.
deal, which is awesome. So, Whitney, what is the biggest challenge you as a newcomer to a trade organization face because you're used to working in the business world and not in this trade organization world? What's the biggest change for you?
I think we all take for granted when you've been in an organization like I was at Centennial for 7 years, how important building respect and credibility and trust with your staff is. Yeah. And when you start somewhere new, and I guess I'll pick on the fact that it's back to school season right now, so my kids, they love the fact they start with an A and they just have to maintain it. But as a leader, when you start at a new organization, you don't start with an A. You start with a C- or maybe even a D+, and you really have to earn the right to have that credibility and trust and respect from your team, which is so incredibly important to success. I think I just forgot how time intensive that is, but it's worth every minute, and I've enjoyed the last 6 months more than I can even express.
That's awesome. Well, I know you're going to do fantastic, Whitney.
Thank you.
Retail Uncorked Orlando is officially over.
This is our 8th Uncorked, and this panel really vibed together. They had not met previously, and so we were honestly shocked and happily surprised by their rapport.
I think one thing I was saying to Ashley is we've actually physically been in every store that was represented on the panel today, and I feel like that makes us really be able to interact with them and relate.
And I forgot to introduce you. So I'm talking to Evie Gross and Ashley Casey, who are the organizers of the series of Retail Uncorked events. Maybe one or both of you can tell me about how this whole thing got started.
So I went to an event in Salt Lake City that was a really rudimentary style of a panel with a makeshift bar. I went to Evie, who had been my friend and industry peer for a while, and I knew that Evie was really interested in relationships just like I am and was. And I said, I think we can do this on a bigger scale. And then cut to Evie's apartment community room.
Well, first of all, when she asked me, I was like, that sounds crazy, like a big undertaking. I don't know that I have time and space for that, but I really like Ashley and I trust her and I think she's the right partner. So I'm just going to dive in and say yes. And what's the worst that can happen? And we pulled it off in the community room of my apartment building. It was kind of
Where
bootleg.
do you live?
I live in Miami.
Okay, so it was in Miami, and it was in the community room, and you were just like, let's just have some people together, have some drinks, and do a panel and see how it goes.
Yeah, like we bought the beer and wine at Publix, and we made our own charcuterie boards, and we had some retailers that were like not well known, like smaller retailers.
Well, we had Popeyes and we had Wild Fork on the panel. We actually had a podcasting group that is opening brick and mortar locations on the panel. Some of them were emerging brands and some of them were somewhat legacy brands. And we actually had this woman reach out to us on Eventbrite, who was not representing, but she was with Forever Young, which is like a med spa. And she wanted to set up a sort of tent in the community room to promote the product, and we said sure, why not?
We're like, maybe she'll bring more people. Okay.
So she ended up giving away like grab bags during the event, and it was actually pretty cool.
When was the first time you did something that was outside of your apartment complex?
The next event was outside of my apartment complex. I think we got a feel that there was something there, and we enjoyed it. Like we gelled, we vibed. People gave us really great feedback, and we were like, let's take this show on the road and see what we can do with it. And we've experimented since then, trying out different cities, doing events before ICSC events, doing events just on its own in the cities that we live in. And we've just kind of built a community around it. There are a lot of repeat customers who come back, who enjoy the vibe, and it's just like a little more casual. It's not a buttoned up event. We pick really cool venues, and we really give people the chance to mingle and make connections.
I feel like the format has kind of solidified, right? So what are the key elements of the format, do you guys think?
We always start with an intro call with our retailers that have agreed to be on the panel, and we tell them, we want this to be super casual. This is not your typical industry panel.
Right.
We want you to hold a beer if you want to. We want you to make jokes with your panelists. We want you to engage with the audience. So our format is effectively a panel sandwiched by networking and happy hour.
We want everyone to walk away with new nuggets of knowledge. So we think networking and mingling is amazing, but we also want to provide some really excellent content. And you'll notice, like, we don't ask anyone, what is your prototype? How many units are you doing? Because, like, people can find that online. And we really just want people to get to know the panelists and the brands they represent and make a connection so that they can ultimately approach them to do a deal.
Yeah, I thought you guys, the panel today, I thought you both did a great job of eliciting fun responses, but also informative and not the typical stuff. And what other things make Retail Uncorked unique? Any other stuff that you do that's different?
Well, we have our friendship bracelets that Evie and I hand bead
I don't know
ourselves.
if you can, for the listeners, I don't know if you can hear that friendship bracelet that I'm wearing. That you make them all by hand.
Yes.
Yeah, we have our entire family is involved sometimes.
My
but-
nephews helped this time, and a lot of my girlfriends have helped with beading.
They're like closing up around us, so we only have a few minutes left to go. What's the next Retail Uncorked event? Do you know?
It might be New York. Evie might have other ideas, but we did one in New York last year at a speakeasy in Manhattan, and it was amazing. So I think we want to replicate that, but in a different venue with different retailers. But yes, ICSC New York, it will be in conjunction with.
Yes, that's our next.
And they're exclusive. How you limit it to what, like 50 people?
75, but sometimes we, at the end, open up a few more spots because we can't say no to our friends. But it is limited, and we always sell out. And we want to keep it that way because we want it to be this smaller feel where you actually can like get to know people, and it feels like a community.
And the last thing before they kick us out is I wanted to talk about the both of you. So, Evie, you work for Brixmor.
Yes.
Ashley, you work for Phillips Edison. When did you two originally meet?
Probably in late 2020 or early 2021 through a women's networking group that Evie actually spearheaded. So it's all women in the national retail space, and we collaborate every quarter at least.
it's all women who do national leasing at different landlords and developers.
All right. Well, if folks want to learn more about the next Retail Uncorked event, where should they follow you on LinkedIn, or what do you suggest?
We have an Instagram at Retail Uncorked. Evie and I both share when the next event will be on our LinkedIns and our personal Instagrams.
I think this was a fantastic event, and I would encourage everybody to go check it out. Thank you so much for inviting me to come do all these podcast interviews. This has been awesome.
Thank you, James. We're so appreciative of your time and recording with us.
Okay, Keisha, you've been behind the camera and behind the microphone all day today as we've been recording all of these interviews at Retail Uncorked in Orlando. What do you think? What's your key takeaway for today?
Experience is the winner for
That's
sure.
what everybody's talking about.
Yeah. And now we're actually finding research that backs that up, where over 50% of the leasing activity now is for entertainment concepts or service concepts or experiential concepts versus just goods.
50% of the leasing activity is around experiential and entertainment concepts. If folks want to hear about the latest and greatest take on what's going on in the world of retail real estate, they can go to JLL.com and search for the Retail Market Dynamics Report.
That's correct.
Yes, which you are the author of. And if you want to hear more interviews, audio retail tours, and new research insights like the report that Keisha recently wrote, you can subscribe to Where We Buy on the iPhone podcast app. We're on Spotify, or you can find us on the web at wherewebuy.show. And as always, our theme music is Run in the Night by the Good Lords under Creative Commons license.
Nice.
And that's a wrap. All right.